But
Yeah, speaking of arguments, I've kind of heard what happened between Inu and Pinky, and I think he gave him what he deserved.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll tell you. I'll tell you how I feel about Final Fantasy VII. I put, like I said, I only put 3 hours into it, but like on my PS4.
If you have your own opinion, I'm not going to argue. That's what Pinky should have done.
Well, I mean, to each his own. I'm just saying that I'll give you my beef with the game when I give you my review, because I only put 3 hours into it. It only has about 15 hours worth of content. I know people are going to say, well, what do you mean? I'll explain why that's a problem later on, but we're live right now. So before we go any further, we'll have everyone introduce themselves. We'll start with Joel, then we'll go to Kenoshi, then you, Trusk, and then myself, and then I'll lay down what the general topics we'll be covering, and then we'll dive into it. So, ladies first.
Welcome, boys and girls. So, ladies, I am Joel Wright. I'm going to start with you to the BS Busters of the Week podcast, and oh, bro, I got a headache with a certain game already.
Yeah. Kenoshi?
Yeah, this is Kenoshi Abominito.
Right.
This is Kenoshi Abominito. Here to say that a $60 demo is probably going to get Game of the Year this year.
Yeah. Okay, Trusk. Trusk, introduce yourself.
My name is Trusk. I am I'm kind of like a retro kind of gamer. I kind of like scrolling shooters, beat 'em ups, fighting games, racing games, retro games, action games. Platformers, 2D, 3D, you name it. I'm not really big on smartphone games. Kind of a whole gotcha shit.
Yeah, the gacha thing has kind of ruined it. Okay then, so
I wasn't really interested into smartphone games to begin with.
I mean, I think there's room for everything. I just think that this jump to where everyone's trying to make smartphone games is kind of like a little bit ridiculous, but that's just me. And of course, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters.
Yeah, may add a little bit more.
All right.
I kind of have a couple of games which I find rather underrated.
Okay.
Like Tank for the Wii U.
Could you repeat what the game was again, sir?
Tank for the Wii U. Viva Namco.
I mean, okay, all right. It's your opinion. You're allowed to have it.
I also have SNK here.
Okay, yeah, that is a good game. I mean, it's solid. Foundationally, it's solid. I'm not too wild about the character selection, but to each his own.
Well, I wouldn't cut the character or the roster. In my opinion, it feels a little empty. Didn't get enough DLC.
I mean, I would. The gimmick of that game is that it's female. Like, it has female versions of famous SNK characters that happen to be male. And I'm like, you guys didn't have to do that. You could have just made a brand new game. Like, I don't understand the point of having a female version of Terry Bogard. I'm like, why? It didn't make sense.
Me, SNK is trying to catch consumers by surprise.
I don't even think that was it. SNK has kind of not been making good. Hasn't been making good business decisions for the last 10 years. They've just been doing stuff where I'm like, come on, man. And I think that's part of it.
Come on, Foxy Ball. Get SNK a break. Hey, they're trying to recover.
Yeah, but it's, now they're trying to recover because now they're finally doing a Samurai Showdown that people want, stuff like that. But, it took a while.
That's actually a decent game.
Yeah, but I mean,
I've always thought of SNK Heroines as a celebratory time.
They could have been doing it years ago. but they were like SNK Heroines sound. Here's what SNK Heroines sounds like to me. It sounds like someone in Japan was like, "Hey man, we want to get that demographic of gamers that don't traditionally play fighting games, which are girls. How can we do that? We can make a game where all the characters are girls." It's like, it felt kind of like the Shadow the Hedgehog meeting, where they're like, we want something edgy. We want an edgy character in the Sonic universe, so we created Shadow the Hedgehog. Like I'm
just gonna take on my buds and let this comedy years pass. I'm not gonna say anything, okay?
It just that's how it felt to me. I don't know. Look, here's the thing. I don't have any evidence. That's just how it felt. But that's neither here nor there. Let me just lay out some of the topics we'll be covering in today's podcast. And of course, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters. So first, we're gonna we're gonna cover some of the news. So we're gonna talk about that new Ethernet standard came up through the pipeline. They came up with the same group that came up with the 5 gigabyte, 10 gigabyte, 25 gigabyte, 100 gigabyte Ethernet cables. Came up with 800 gigabyte Ethernet cables. It's not commercially available yet, but within the next 2 or 3 years, you will see blazingly fast speeds through your Ethernet cable. So
yeah, what's with the psychotic people acting like 5G is gonna destroy the world or something?
Well, I mean, 5G is just like the mobile network thing. That's not,
that was.
Yeah, and it's the best place that you get a better connection through the internet through cell phone towers.
I mean, basically, 5G is useful if you're talking about people. If you're talking about people with cell phones who are using mobile data. Okay, cool. I mean, if it's someplace where you can actually use it, because not every network is going to upgrade that stuff. Next,
Redbox.
Yeah.
I hope I noticed that you're being a little, how should I say that? Too negative. I mean, I'm not trying to criticize you, but I need to think more positive some things. That's all.
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily being negative. I'm just basically using a more realistic view of reality. Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is that, a lot of new stuff has come out, but it's not really being used. Like fiber optic. Like Google does. I mean, Fios does not have a monopoly on fiber optic networking, but there's only 2 services that really use fiber optic networking. Verizon and Google. Google.
It didn't really sound low realistic.
Google.
What can I do for the nicest person I know?
Nothing. Google Nest. Stop. No. Google Fiber and Fios are the only ones that actually who are actually like really upgraded their network to use fiber optics. Like even the other broadband things are just basically using a hybrid where part of it is back in
the old day, a lot of things would click for me when it came to media. But now
I'm just saying. I mean, it's kind of like when HD first came out. It took a while for other people for the industry to upgrade to that point. Or when we jumped from
positive view on features like.
No, it just takes a while for that stuff to jump on. I mean, that's all I'm saying. Like everyone's
having a built-in optic drive anymore. You need like a
Well, I mean,
kind of hesitant of getting one.
A lot of technology is like that, but I'm just saying that technology is slow to adopt. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. So these people who think that okay, a 5G tower has been put up, that means all of it's going to be somehow better. It doesn't work that way. Like stuff has to be adapted to a certain point to where it becomes a standard. It's not a standard. It's like when people say, "Hey, man, VR is mainstream now." No, it isn't.
Well, the thing about 5G is that you only get those speeds if you're like sitting right next to the tower.
Yeah.
If you're not sitting next to the tower, that signal has to go through so many different obstacles to get to your phone,
Yeah.
so it slows down.
It's like when people get hyped up about things and they don't understand. Like, okay, like when Mark Cerny had that developer conference where they didn't show any of the games for the PS5, and they didn't really talk about any of the majorly important specs. They just talked about they really doubled down on that
That's
800
dick
and
move.
on that 855 gigabyte solid state drive that has fast memory. Like, man, that sounds really impressive. Sounds impressive until you remember that even if you have a really fast solid state drive, the data on that drive is going to be slightly compressed, but still, if you have a 100 gigabyte game, it's still only going to be compressed to like maybe 90, 85 gigabytes on a solid state drive. Okay? And it's still like if you put 10 games, actually no, because I'm not even going to say 10 games because you're still going to have some hard drive space for the operating system. So maybe 9 games on the system digitally. I mean, the way it is now, even if you get a game physically, there's going to be some downloads you're going to have to add to it. So even then, you maybe have 6, 7 games on the system with downloads. I mean, you're still going to have some type of storage medium upgrade for the system because these games are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I mean, people are acting like this is going to be a game changer. No, it isn't. Just realistically speaking, it is not.
It's basically a step in the direction.
Because they're not addressing the underlying issue. The underlying issue is that these games are too large, and the code for porting a game from the development PC, from the development build, which is on PCs, over to a console, the coding is not very good. So you get these games that are 100 gigabytes, 180 gigabytes. I think, wasn't it the latest Call of Duty that came out last year was like 150 gigabytes? Something like that?
Oh, God.
Some ridiculously large game. Space. Yeah.
Remember the Tony Hawk Pro Skater mess?
Yeah, that game was like 18 gigs, and then there was like a 32 gigabyte patch, which was the rest of the game, like day one. But yeah, I mean, it's listen, okay. It would be wonderful for me to be ultra optimistic, but like you can afford to be optimistic when people have shown themselves to be worthy of your optimism, but I mean, if someone's continuously doing shady things or, kind of backwards things, I can't just be like, well, let me give you another shot. Let me give you another shot because, I've given these companies shots for since Gen 6 and they haven't really been worthy of it. Even Nintendo's been doing some kind of shady stuff lately. Not to the same levels of Microsoft and Sony, but they've been doing it.
Oh, well, now that you mention it, I mean, they have been screwing up a bit with the Nintendo Switch Online. I mean, they should have at least kept at the Virtual Console.
I agree with you. They should have, because the Nintendo Online Library and the Super Nintendo Online Library, kind of mediocre compared to the Virtual Console. I know, and people will argue with me and say, no, it's not worth it. Look, listen, I would rather...
Netflix for games? And Netflix for games?
I'm gonna keep
I don't think that's gonna work.
I'm gonna keep it real. The only first party console manufacturer who has kind of cracked the Netflix for game model is Microsoft with Xbox Game Pass. That's the only one, because Game Pass gives you like at least like over 100 games, and it's a nice mix of AAA, single A, double A, indies, and it's a good price. Like even if you pay $10 a month, so let's say $10 a month, $100 a year, $120 a year. Yeah. You need to repeat your comment, sir.
Repeat the game. Now you're making me stutter. Can you keep the games?
Well, I mean, you can't keep the games, but the price and the amount of games that are on that service and the variety of games, like I said, you pay. I mean, kind of like Netflix. I mean, Game Pass is the closest you're going to get to to Netflix for gaming, because basically you pay a flat subscription fee and you basically have access to these games for as long as you have the subscription. Just like Netflix, like I think Netflix now offers you can download some titles off of Netflix for nothing. I mean, if you have Netflix already, you can download it. I don't think you can keep those, but I haven't let my Netflix subscription lapse, so I don't know. I don't want to say you can keep it, keep the downloaded content. I don't want to go out on that limb. You can, or you could or could not. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, for $10 a month to have access to over 100 games, at this point probably well over 100 games, like 180, 160 games for a small flat fee of $120 a year, $10 a month, that's actually a really good deal. Because the thing is like, if you bought those games, even if you got them on sale, you'd spend more than $120. I think the pricing is on point. I'm not saying it's perfect. It didn't work for me. Like, I tried Xbox Game Pass for PC.
No.
I couldn't get it to work.
I don't think it matters. To me, the pricing doesn't matter.
I mean, I think a lot of people, the pricing will matter.
Think about it.
I think for a lot of average consumers, they're looking, because people want bang for their buck. Okay, I mean, the average consumer wants bang for their buck. They want. I mean, that's why streaming's. That's why everyone keeps on.
Well, what also matters to me is that you're. What matters to me, damn it. What matters to me as well is that you're able to keep the game.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but you're not keeping the games with Nintendo's Online either.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and not only that, they don't give you the option to buy it. I mean, at least with Xbox Game Pass, you get the option to buy the game. You get no option to buy any of the games on Nintendo's Nintendo Online or SNES Online library. You can't buy any of those games. Like, if you stop...
Buying means you keep it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're not allowed to buy any of those games, which is why it's an inferior version of the Virtual Console, because with the Virtual Console, you didn't actually... You had to buy the license to download those games, but you owned it. Like, if I turn on my Wii U or my 3DS and I have something off the Virtual Console off those systems, I can play it anytime I want to. Whereas with the Virtual Console, if I don't have if I don't have the online service, I can't play those games. And if it's not connected to the internet to check in, you can't play those games. So I mean, it's a form of DRM.
DRM.
Yeah, it's a form of DRM.
What's that for?
Digital rights management.
Digital rights management.
Yeah, it's basically a way of them controlling how you play your digital games. And I don't feel comfortable with that, because Nintendo was doing so much better before with their Virtual Console. Like, they're basically
throw the towel on that.
They're basically charging me money to play a handicapped version of these games, which I'm not cool with. But I mean, some people would disagree. But I mean, look, listen. At this point, it's subjective about how you about whether or not you like it or not. But
what makes me add that the Nintendo eShop has some of these arcade games that you can buy.
I mean, like I said, I wish they had kept up the Virtual Console, because I would rather, instead of like them trying to add these games to the Nintendo Entertainment System Online library or the SNES Online library, if they had just been like, okay, we're bringing back the Virtual Console, but now we're adding arcade games to the Virtual Console. So it's like, okay, here's the Virtual Console for arcade games. So you go to that part of the eShop. It's like, okay, we got like retro arcade games. So like really old stuff like Space Invaders, Missile Command, stuff like that.
there were arcade games for the Virtual Console.
Yeah, there were. That's true, but they weren't like in huge supply. Like it was a very small library. Like now,
Yeah, sure.
it's
What
it's a
the
lot
fuck?
bigger. Yeah, it's much bigger now. But yeah, I mean, so I guess we got to keep it moving, keep it moving. So yeah, how about that PS5 controller?
It looks like an Xbox One controller.
You correct, sir.
Wait a minute, let me look it up.
Yeah,
It's not.
I was not impressed. It seems like Microsoft and Sony are still wedded to basically doing derivatives of the SNES controller.
Their idea of the PS. Yeah, they're basically wedded to be they've done before.
Because don't forget,
Still
the,
Nintendo's
Oh, wait a minute.
the PS1
simplest design.
the PS1
That's
DualShock was basically
That's
just an
not that.
SNES controller with two analog control sticks.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I just read a comment below. I just read a statement below the image. I was wrong. No, the DualSense isn't designed by Matt Adcat. But it sure looks like it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it basically looks kind of like a 360 controller. I mean, listen, I'm not saying I'm not saying Microsoft and Sony should be like Nintendo, because every controller Nintendo has come out with after the SNES was different.
Huh. You know what? In closer inspection, it doesn't look that bad.
I mean, it doesn't look innovative, is what I'm saying. It doesn't.
Yeah, I mean,
They didn't take any type of, basically.
I'm gonna make a weird comment about this that even this separate controllers, they have at least more innovation what
Dude,
PS5 is doing.
does
Well, I'm
everything
just-
have to be motivative to you?
has to be innovative. I mean, I would prefer innovation, because here's the thing. To me, gaming has been stagnating since the 6th gen for Microsoft and Sony. They haven't been able to do anything new or innovative with their games. I mean, Microsoft did. I mean, you could say, well, they tried with Kinect, but Kinect wasn't innovative because they were trying to do something new. Kinect came about because they were like, oh man, motion control. Look what Nintendo's doing with the Wii. We need to do that too. Like, it wasn't, oh man, we're doing something new.
Yeah, and as I was saying, even the controllers feel a lot more innovative than what the PlayStation 5 and Xbox are pulling on. And I could say that Red Fox and I could say it doesn't feel that innovative at all in some sense.
I mean, Microsoft, and to be honest with you, I mean, we've had no new genres coming out from either of these systems, for either of these console manufacturers.
Innovation, and really, to be honest, I hardly ever think of innovation. But as long as I can play it, I'm happy. And that's good.
To
I mean,
each his
I'm more of a
own.
Nintendo kind of guy.
To each his own. I mean, like I said, me personally, you know, the way I feel about these new consoles is this: I did not spend, you know, however much
X
you're gonna
amount
spend.
of cash.
Well, let's say you buy a new system and you buy a few games for it. Let's say, I mean, whether it be a PlayStation console or a Nintendo console, or both. Okay, I didn't spend $500 to over $1,000 to play prettier version of games that were out last gen. Like, I bought a console so that I could play new stuff that I had not played before. Like, I got an N64 because of Mario 64, because we had never seen anything like that before. Okay? Like, that's why I liked the N64, was that we had never, like, you could not have played a Mario 64 on a 16-bit console.
I know how you feel. I'll get console for certain games too.
You know, I mean, not the game itself, but just the innovation that was going on. Like, I love innovation in gaming. I like new stuff being done where it's like, okay, this couldn't have been done last gen. There is absolutely no game that has come out for either Microsoft or Sony's
Are you getting a swollen
system.
head over this?
What?
Are you getting a swollen head over this?
No, but I mean it's a fact. There's no new IP that has come out. There's no new genre or innovative
Okay,
genre that has
okay,
come
Mr.
out
Red Fox,
from
calm
Microsoft to
down.
Sony that's new. It's all basically prettier versions of stuff that we had last gen. I
You know,
mean,
the weird part is that I'm gonna probably get some hate. I don't even see a party game or something of the like that could really spark those two systems.
I mean to be fair, even Nintendo's getting kind of stagnant with some of their IPs.
Do you know what I doing really grinds my gears?
No, go ahead.
Not even a light gun game in there yet. And the Switch. I mean, what happened to the Joy Zap?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. You're right.
It's a fucking Joy Zap.
I mean, you would think with the Joy-Cons and their HD Rumble, we would get a really good fishing game. No.
No. I was not talking about fishing. What the fuck?
Well, because with the HD Rumble, the HD Rumble makes tactical.
You know what?
Well,
I'll never understand where your head is going when I say.
Well, the HD Rumble makes tactile feels like when you play Super
It's
Mario
supposed
Odyssey.
to be like
when you play Super Mario
yeah, it's
Odyssey and
supposed
you
to
go to
feel how the water is tense or
yeah, when you go to the fizzy beach where the water is supposed to be bubbly like soda, and you feel it with the HD Rumble, and it feels really it feels like it's bubbly, like it's vibrating, like you really stuck your hand in sparkly fizzy water. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing technology. Are they doing anything innovative with it? No.
Nope.
Not really. No, they're just,
Okay,
it's
give
here.
a damn. Okay, give a damn your opinion on that.
Look, man, I think if they did a fishing game where basically you could really feel when the fish took a bite at your rod, and like you really had to really feel it, you could totally do that with HD Rumble. But no, just because here's the thing, okay? The reason Nintendo's controllers are said to be so expensive is because of all the tech packed into it, mostly the HD Rumble, and yet it's not being used for anything. That's kind of a waste of technology to me.
which is really sad.
I mean, it's the equivalent of having your house and having a dynamite sound system put in, but it's not hooked up.
But you're playing old records.
No, there's nothing. It's not hooked up to anything. You're not even using it.
Oh,
That doesn't make sense
More
to me.
interesting rather than just technology. I mean, why not the games themselves?
Well, I mean, like I said, the games themselves aren't really. I mean, like, okay, we have a lot of remakes of stuff that was on the Wii U, so I'm not gonna say those are innovative because it's ports
They're
of
from last
Wii U
gen.
games. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of those games were probably better on, like, even their new game, like Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 is not a bad game, but I think it would have been better had it been on the Wii U with the gamepad.
Yeah.
I think the
that's my opinion.
gamepad.
I mean,
Not having the gamepad really makes that game suffer a little bit.
the end of the Wii U too soon.
Well, I mean,
I was complaining.
I think it was a combination of things. I think Nintendo kind of didn't really market the Wii U as well as they could have. I think that the media kind of helped poo-poo it a little bit and bring down the perception of it. I think a lot of people, it's a combination of things. But to me, I think the Wii was more innovative than the Switch. I'm just saying. That's just my own personal opinion.
which is kind of surprising, but I agree with you.
Well, because the Switch is basically just a hybridization between their handheld and a home console. But the thing that people don't understand, and people are loving it right now, but the thing that people don't understand about hybrids, whether it be a hybrid vehicle or any type of hybrid technology, is that
You're not getting the best of both worlds
a hybrid is never
on the handheld or the console.
Well, yeah, the hybrid is a compromise between the two extremes. So
Any
it's
problem with
like,
that? Are you not seeing the best of both worlds?
well, no, the thing, I mean, that's just how technology is. Hybrids are the compromise between two extremes. A hybrid doesn't have the strengths of a hybrid. The Switch doesn't have the strength of a dedicated handheld, nor does it have the strength of a dedicated home console. And I mean, here's the thing: gamers seem to be okay with that compromise between two extremes. And look, I'm not gonna poo-poo someone who is okay playing a home console game that's had major um,
Dedicated care.
that's had major compromises to get to run on the Switch. If they're enjoying it, if you're enjoying it, good for you. I personally don't like when I buy a home console. I don't want to play ported up handheld games, which a lot of the games that are on the Switch are ported up handheld games. Like Link's Awakening is basically a game that 3 years ago would have been on the 3DS. That's, I mean, it's a 3DS game.
Yeah, I could. There are some things that that are on the Switch that need handheld only or console only systems.
Like the thing is that there's some games that kind of need that big. There's some games that kind of need that big home console
Oof.
blow you out the water experience. Like with the GameCube, right? The GameCube had Rogue Squadron 2. Rogue Squadron 2 is a game that, in order for you to truly enjoy that game, you need a really good TV with a really good sound system, with Dolby Pro Logic 2, so that you can hear the TIE fighters and stuff and the music, and it's a cinematic video game. You can't, like, if you ported that to a handheld, that would be a disservice to that game.
And I was about to say that's really an injustice.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to fit all in there.
That's kind of the problem with the Switch, is that because it's a hybrid, there are games that are being put on that system that are basically kind of like 2 years ago they would have been on the 3DS, so they're up ports of a 3DS game, and it's kind of me personally, I know a lot of people are like, well, I can play this game. It's like, I buy a console so that I can play console experiences. I have a handheld because some experiences are better on a handheld, and the two things kind of
I'm out of here.
And this is where.
All right.
Guess you didn't like your opinion.
I was about to say before he left that this is the reason why I would actually be wanting a true handheld console again out, because there's some things that shouldn't be on a console,
Yeah.
and there's some things that
I mean, like I said, the like Link's Awakening, the new Pokemon game felt like an upport of the 3DS, of the 3DS Pokemon game. Like that game didn't need to be on the Switch. I mean, I know they made a lot of money and all that stuff, but that game didn't have enough content to really be relegated to being on the Switch.
in fact, I'd say it actually subtracted content.
Yeah, it did. It was very
And
content
just
light.
now trying to.
Yeah, it was very content light, and then they added the extra content as an expansion, as a season pass, which I wasn't cool with. So our next topic is Google Stadia. Google Stadia is given 2 months. Is given 2 months.
I'll stick around for a little bit longer, okay?
All right. Google Stadia is
Don't
given.
Until I can come with a fun topic so that we can wrap this up.
All right. Google Stadia is given 2 months. 2 months for free.
And effing cares, you mama ads!
No one seems to care about it.
I gotta mute myself because I'll be laughing too much hard.
Joe Ryder.
No one seems to care. I find it hilarious. So, yeah. I don't know, but so yeah.
I needed to stop laughing before I killed myself. Seriously.
No, it's okay. Everyone needs to laugh once in a while. I mean, laughter is a good medicine.
I'm laughing at Google's and utter incompetence for this.
I mean,
I mean, where do I even begin?
how can I put this? How can I put this nicely? The problem with in my opinion, the problem with Stadia is that it wasn't rolled out properly. And Google didn't have the infrastructure in place to really support it.
Sorry, I'm not sure how to help with that.
Yeah, shut up, Google Nest. Yes, I have Google Nest in my basement, and when I say Google, it actually tries to do things. But yeah, I mean, it's just they haven't really done anything to really upgrade their system, which is kind of disturbing.
I call it.
What?
I call it pathetic.
What, pathetic that they haven't really upgraded their system, or that they just kind of,
They
you know.
they tried to not only tried to upplay themselves. They had to make you buy with when you actually are trying to buy them already.
Well, I mean, the
And-
saddest thing about
Oh
Google's
God, the server systems.
Well, the saddest thing about Google Stadia, in my opinion, is that, like, the thing that really kind of is that, okay, it would be one thing if Google was like a little upstart company that had this good idea for technology, but just didn't have the resources to get it out properly. But the thing is that
This is Google.
they have the money.
people are next to Microsoft.
Yeah, they had the money. They had the money to get this right, and they just didn't. They were like, you know.
They not only screwed
Too
this up.
much of a social network kind of company. I mean, not more. It's too much of search and social network.
No, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, okay, like, here's the thing, okay?
Funny.
You're right. They are a search engine, data, service driven. All they had to do was hire someone who knew how to do this. They could have, because they have the money to poach someone who knew how to run this thing properly. No, we don't need to do that.
They could have learned from Microsoft.
No, they
their
couldn't have.
parent
No.
company of sorts.
Because don't forget, Microsoft, every single console generation, Microsoft has lost a ton of money.
I said Microsoft in a sense of what not to do.
Oh yeah. Basically, they launched Stadia just like Microsoft launched the Xbox One. It was basically that bad of just not having stuff ready year one. But
The reason why I always felt, and oh God, I feel so happy to be right. That's funny.
All right, so I mean, I think that's enough. I mean, we could spend a long time just kind of poo-pooing Stadia, but it isn't worth it at this point because that horse is not only dead, it's flies and maggots or stuff on it. So let's get to some of these fun topics. Okay, so the first one, what do you guys think of the idea of Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge? It's the animated, M-rated, kind of, well, actually R-rated with violence animated Mortal Kombat movie.
Never heard of that. Never heard of that shit.
I mean, if you're gonna
I
do
was
Mortal
about to say,
Kombat,
I
it
thought
needs
it
to
was
be
gonna be-
R-rated. It can't be, kiddie stuff.
Well,
No. I mean, and I never heard.
All right.
Oh, trust me, if it comes out like the Zero Mortal Kombat for video games, be ready for a mess.
Well, it's an animated TV show. I mean, it's an animated straight to DVD, Blu-ray streaming type of thing. Then we have Atlas is having a 3DS shop sale. And there's a lot of game. I mean, the
That is
deals
pretty neat, but
the deals aren't that good. They're okay, but they aren't that good.
Well,
But they're
speaking of
not
3DS,
solid.
how long is it going to take for Nintendo to develop the next real handheld. Okay.
I mean, they have no incentive to develop a real dedicated handheld system at this point. Because people have shown that they will pay for a hybrid. Basically, Nintendo upported like a lot of the games on the Switch right now are like that are coming out right now are.
I'm the problem with consumers.
Well, I mean, a lot of the games on the Switch right now, not every game, but a lot of them, a lot of those games that you're seeing on the Switch are essentially they're ports of 3DS games. They're prettier ports, but they're ports of what would have been on the 3DS. So it's like for me, I'm just kind of like.
That's just bullshit. I never see one 3DS game on a Switch ever.
Okay.
That is bullshit.
I'll give you an example of what I mean. Link's Awakening. That
Hell.
game is essentially a 3DS game that was ported to the Switch. I guarantee that game when it started development was on the 3DS.
Yeah, you mean it should have been on the 3DS?
No, I'm saying that game probably started life on the 3DS, and then they took the code and just ported it over to the Switch. And really, to be honest with you, it should have stayed that game should have stayed on the 3DS because, I mean, it's a port of a handheld game.
Yeah, I mean,
Because it is a port of the Link's Awakening is a handheld game. It was on the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, exactly. But I know word of it. It's starting on the 3DS.
Bravely the.
Okay.
How about that?
Pokemon, the new Pokemon game. That game started life as a 3DS game. You can look at the engine and tell it started life as a 3DS game. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, those games started life as 3DS games.
Sorry, can't help. Sorry, I will actually barf hearing those names.
I mean,
How do you even know all that the development even started on 3DS?
because as soon as the last games came out, they started because that's just game development. They start on the next stuff. There's nothing wrong with porting things over from one console to another. Like a lot of the games that you see hitting the Switch from Japanese third parties that were originally on the Vita. Like a lot of those games are games where they took the code for the Vita, they got the software development kits and just ported that code over from the Vita engine over to the Switch. Because the Switch is a hybrid. It has qualities of both a handheld and a home console. A lot of those games from Japanese developers are just Vita games that have been upported to the Switch. They're handheld games that were put on the Switch.
Which I got good. The Vita got less love than what Nintendo gave their handheld.
I mean, hell, what was that? Alliance Alive. Not Alliance Alive. Let me look at my. Yeah, Alliance Alive. Alliance Alive HD remastered. That's it's on the Switch. That is a handheld game. Yes, it's a prettier handheld game, but it's a handheld game. That's not a game that should really be on a home console.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, listen, if someone owns these games and enjoys them, good for you. But, I mean, look, listen, at this point, it becomes subjective. Like, me personally, I don't buy consoles to play ports of, like, I didn't get a SNES so I could play ports of Game Boy games. I didn't buy an N64 so I could play ports of Game Boy Advance games. I didn't buy a GameCube so I could play ports of DS games. I didn't buy a Wii so I could play ports of 3DS games or Wii U. I like my gaming to be kind of separate. I like handheld games to be on a handheld. I like console games to be on a console. But that's to each his own.
But if anything,
It's its own world.
Huh.
I would say that if the game is is built for one thing and it feels like it and put on another, that's when you know that it feels wrong. At least in a sense.
All right, so let's get to these.
Yeah, let me come up with a fun topic before I leave.
All right.
Let's start. I know I'd asking this before, but if there was any anime or animated show that would have been a good beat 'em up game back in the 90s, or could still make a good beat 'em up game like in the style of Final Fight or Streets of Rage, animated show, or a couple if you can.
All right. Who wants to go
It's
first?
not that much into animation, but if anything, I could say that my best guess would be the Straw Hat One Piece, or basically which
You're breaking up, Jordan. What do you say? I can't really hear you.
You said One Piece or
Bleach.
Bleach. Yeah, Bleach would be good.
Which
But
I know.
Bleach would be
Bleach
more of
would've
a
been-
hack and slasher.
Yeah, no, yeah, we need more hack and slasher games.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bleach would have made a good Muso game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised they never did a Bleach Muso game. I think they did a One Piece Muso. Not a one. Yeah, they did a one. They've done a One Piece
we have
Muso
four
game.
One Piece Muso games now.
Yeah, and I think they did a Naruto Muso game as well.
Oh no, they didn't.
They had. Oh well, then there you go. They need to do a Naruto Muso game.
I mean, what about? There should have been a Naruto game in the style of Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. Nah.
What's wrong with Ninja Gaiden?
Old Ninja Gaiden.
Because
Are we talking about old Ninja Gaiden or?
No. The recent Ninja Gaiden.
New-
The Ninja Gaiden that started off on the Xbox.
Oh, the Tomonobu Itagaki Ninja Gaidens. The thing about Ninja Gaiden is, like, Tomonobu Itagaki basically made Ninja Gaiden. And Ninja Gaiden was already hard, but, like, when it went 3D, it became too ridiculously difficult for average consumers. Like, ridiculously over...
Oh, you're afraid of a little challenge?
Well, not really. It's just... The thing is when you're playing a the thing about old school 2D Ninja Gaidens was that the difficulty came in enemy placement and knowing when to use certain attacks in order to take out certain enemies. Like it was all enemy placement was the real difficulty. And then Tomonobu Itagaki came and he just basically turned the game unnecessarily difficult. Like difficulty just for the sake of difficulty versus difficulty serving gameplay and skill progression. They're just not very well designed games.
The Naruto Muso game would work as well.
Yeah,
you know what?
It would.
What franchises are missing Muso games? One Muso game I would like to see: Transformers, Cybertron Warriors, or Transformers Muso. As I Decepticons or Autobots.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting. I'm not saying it would be perfect, but it would be interesting. I can get behind that. Why not? Yeah. If Platinum could do the combat though, because they already did a Transformers game that was really good.
Yeah, Transformers Devastation.
Yeah, that game was really good.
I don't know why I was not released on the Wii EU.
Yeah, because the Wii U got no love during that generation. There were tons of games that could have been on the Wii U that generation that weren't, like the Soul Calibur 2 remake.
Yeah, but the consumers had to be assholes.
No, the people putting the games on the systems, the publishers weren't going to put money to have a game put on the Wii U. So there you go. So
Games, why isn't there a Platinum game made a Kill la Kill game yet? I don't get it. Our system has to steal their thunder.
I think
and make it into a piece of shit at arena fighting game with clunky graphics.
I think at this point they don't want to make one because It would be difficult to make a Kill la Kill Muso game, mostly because
I'm not. No, not Kill la Kill Muso. I mean, Kill la Kill in the style of Bayonetta.
I mean, I guess you could, but I mean, at this point, I think they would rather work on their own IPs than someone else's, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, and one of the few IPs that they have that are their own in a sense is one.
Is what?
The Wonderful 101.
Yeah, that is their own IP. I'll tell you what would be. I tell you, I didn't tell you
Nintendo
my.
did publish it while it was originally released for the Wii U.
Yeah, yeah, they did publish it, but I think the vast majority of the ownership of that.
All right, that's my dad calling. Bye.
All right, peace. Before, well, even though he's gone, I guess I'll answer his question because I didn't give mine. What would be a good 3D game? What would be a good 90s fighting or beat 'em up game? Anime IP that would be a good beat 'em up game. I'm gonna go with. I know this is gonna sound kind of bad because it's not the 90s, but I'm gonna go with it. Fist of the North Star.
That's an old one, but
Yeah.
I can agree with you on
Fist of the North Star would be awesome as a beat 'em up. It would be ultra violent and bloody, but I mean,
blood showers.
yeah. Having Kenshiro go around beating up people and saying, "You have 3 seconds to live. I hit 10 of your pressure points. You're already dead." Like stuff like that. That'd be awesome.
Until they are confused, and then kaboom.
Hear them talking junk. "You bastard, come back here. I'm not finished with you." Yeah, you're done. You're done. You were done when I hit those 3 pressure points on your body.
Yeah, that was the funny part that I love. Watching them be and come back here. I want some more beatdowns, and then they go boof.
Yeah, I prefer when I watch
Like
Fist of the North Star, I prefer the Japanese version. I prefer the American version subbed from Japanese because in that version, believe it or not, the American version is less censored than the Japanese version. Like the Japanese version, the guy walks away, but then it'll like silhouette the guy's head exploding in the distance. In the American version, you see it. It is awesome.
Oh wow!
Like you see the bubble on his head come up, and then it explode, and his head just push. Oh man, it's great. I love
and the
Fist
work of
North
art.
Star. Yeah, I mean, cause I like that ultra violent anime from the late '80s, early '90s. Like I like Fist of the North Star. I like the Guyver.
Yeah.
Bio Armor Guyver. Even though the anime never finished, I think the manga went a little bit further, but the anime never finished. So it ends on a friggin' cliffhanger, which sucks. But yes, I think the Guyver could be a awesome. I think between the Guyver and Fist of the North Star, let me think of another '90s anime that could be a good beat 'em up. The Big O.
Yeah, Big O is pretty good.
Outlaw Star. Outlaw Star would be Outlaw Star. Could you imagine if they made a space opera RPG, action RPG with Outlaw Star?
Man, that actually would have been a surprise for sure.
Like I'm one of those people that
I mean, you got several different styles to play with. You got the punch and beat up style with some certain guns. Though those guns are gonna
not really. You've got Gene Starwind, who's the gun guy, because he can use a caster gun, which is a gun made by people who couldn't directly use magic, So they made guns that basically like use magic via like a gun.
Yeah, but I
Then
was
you
thinking
have
that those are going to be that those guns be costing his life if he uses certain weapons.
yeah, if he uses it too much, it drains so much mana that starts taking stamina. Then you've got the samurai chick. Then you've got the Katao girl.
Aisha
Uh,
Clank.
yeah, then you've got Melfina and Jim. So those are your party members.
I was going to say those two are basically ship runners.
I don't know. Jim got some. Jim was your engineer guy, and Melfina was the android chick. Was the biological android chick. Like here's the thing. Like not Jim. Gene Starwin was having sex with everyone on that ship except for Jim. Like he had
With all those
sampled-
ladies.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was. Yeah, he was. Gene Starwin was a star player, my friend. Star player. I would love to see. I would love to see a Outlaw Star. Like kind of like you take the idea of like a Mass Effect. Crossed with like a Fallout type of thing, and kind of bring that together to a space opera type RPG. I think that could work. The only thing is you'd have to have ship combat in the game, and ship combat is notoriously hard to do in video game on a console.
I was
Yeah.
about to say, you saw how complex.
Yeah, because they had
machines are-
like grappling ships with like arms and stuff grabbing each other, and like you would have to be really on point. I don't think there's the only developer that I could think of that could kind of sort of get close to that level of detail and ship to ship combat would maybe be Platinum.
Some real out there gameplay. I mean, using an entire shipload of controls in order to play one game.
Yeah,
I'm talking about with that one.
I mean, like that's the thing. Like you would have to get like okay, it would be relatively easy to have the action portion. We have people going around with guns shooting people. The combat like off of the ship would just be like you're shooting people.
Yeah, the person-to-person combat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, party to party because it's an RPG, so you have party members. That's easy to pull off. But then ship combat is a major part of Outlaw Star.
Yeah, because there's some weapons on the Outlaw Star.
Yeah, it's a major plot point. Like in the opening of Outlaw Star, Gene Starwin's talking about like how like the ships use grapple arms and how like there's different like grapples and how the pirates and the rogues are and the pirates and the outlaws are like have this thing going on, the different solars and the different stellar governments and stuff. It's like okay, this makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, you might as well turn that into an RPG, into a turn-based RPG with the Outlaw Star being the only character you could control.
Nah, because then it's too shallow. You need that character growth. You need to have characters have their individual side quests and all that depth and complexity that entails. Next little bit of news. Fallout 76 is coming out later on this month.
There's some games coming out later this month that...
Isn't that game already out?
Well, Fallout 76 is already out. The Wasteland DLC that everyone's like, man, this Wasteland DLC will make everything worth it. This will make everything worth it. This will bring everything together.
Excuse me, I need to laugh again.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but that's what people are saying. I don't believe it personally, because I'm I'm one of those people. I'm a very skeptical person. People get mad at me that I'm so skeptical about things, but I prefer to be skeptical
Hi, how you
versus.
going? I'm from San Francisco, California. I'm a holistic practitioner and life coach. I love traveling.
People
Right?
being way
And I
too
like
damn
moving fingers around, like they have paws.
overly optimistic, if you will. You know, you're too happy, damn it.
Yeah, you gotta be angry.
Well, I mean,
Brooding.
I'm not
No.
angry. It's just okay. Let me put it this way. Here's my perspective. Okay, the time to give people the benefit of the doubt is when they've earned the right to be given the benefit of the doubt. Like Nintendo got a lot of benefit of the doubt for me because they had a history of not doing shady things in terms of gaming. Like their methods may have been shady, but you were getting good games. Like a lot of people got angry about Nintendo's monopolization of certain IPs during the third and fourth gen, but you got good games out of it. So, you know, the methodology worked. You know, um, and even the fifth and sixth gen, you were getting good games out of them. So, you know, I can't get mad with their methodology. Right now, Nintendo's doing stuff where it's like, this is kind of shady, and the games, like, we haven't really gotten innovative games out of Nintendo for this generation. Codename Arms is basically or is it Project Arms, whatever. That Arms game basically feels like a derivative of Wii Boxing, just with better controls. I mean, I'm not impressed with that shit. Splatoon 2 is a inferior port of the first Splatoon. Yeah, it has more single player content and it has an expansion, but that Wii U gamepad is missing, and that really hampers the experience of that game. Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah, I could
I mean,
agree with you on that because there's some things that could have been done again on Wii U, but they pushed over to the Switch. And as much as I enjoy Splatoon 2,
it's not as
the
good as the first
gamepad
game.
makes the game with that one.
It's not as good as the first game. You miss the gamepad not being there. And Smash Ultimate, I'm sorry, I know some people are going to get mad at me about this, but Smash Ultimate feels like a port of Smash 4 Wii U, except with a slightly better single player. Single player is still not good, but compared to how shitty the single player was for the Wii U version, it's still pretty good. Mario Kart 8 was ported over to the system with the battle mode that should have been in the base game any goddamn
I'm going to have to say that if anything, I could push that onto the Switch, but if anything, I get my good laughs out of that said that this is not a good game, and then they buy the Switch version.
Yeah, they just bought the Switch version. But here's the thing, okay. It's ironic, but it's also really fucking shady. It's ironic that people who didn't like the Wii U version didn't buy it. Well, I think that game sold really well on the Wii U, so I'm not gonna be like, oh, they didn't like it. But then they're gonna buy the fucking game for the Switch, and Nintendo's basically selling you almost all of those assets were ported over from the Switch version, with the new shit coming in, and they're charging you $60 plus the both 2 season passes. It's shady as fuck. I'm sorry. That DLC is they had aggressive DLC with the Wii U version as well, and the 3DS version. I mean, it's really shady. They did not earn the benefit of the doubt. With they've been doing shady stuff, and it's not getting better. Like, we're getting ports of old shit. Like, I don't buy a console to play old shit on it. Especially shit that came out last generation. I'm sorry. I don't do that.
And if anything, one of the biggest ones that I will personally say really would be Xenoblade Chronicles. Oh,
Yeah, which is
game.
missing content from the 3DS version. So even then, it's just like, come on, man. You know.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that the Wii U didn't perform to their liking, so that's why they're just
Yeah, but here's the
trying to
thing.
get
That's not my
more
fucking
money on
problem.
yeah.
It's not my problem. Like here's the thing, okay? As the consumer, my responsibility ended once I bought your system and spent my money on it. That's not my problem that other people didn't do it. It's not my problem.
Yeah.
You know? It's kind of like if someone, when my business was open, if someone came in and said, "Hey, I want a burger and a beer and a 30-minute game pass," right? It's like, okay, cool. Like, once they give me their money, their responsibility to me has ended. Okay? Now the onus is on me to give them what they paid for and to make it a good experience. And Nintendo's been dropping the ball on that lately. Like a lot of ports of shit that came out last gen, and not just ports of shit that came out last gen, but up ports of shit that came out for the 3DS. I mean, where's the new? Okay, this system. We're 3 years into the life cycle of this console. Where are the new fucking games that we could not have played last gen? Where are they?
As much as I want to say that I'm a patient person, even I have to admit that some of the stuff that are coming out on the horizon in the near future, it's not as grandiose as what we gotten in the past.
Okay, here are the 30 games that are the top games for the Switch this week, okay? Animal Crossing New Horizons, that's a 3DS game. Drawful 2, that's a party game. Conduct Together, party game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, port. Minecraft, port. Just Dance 2020, port. Watermelon Party, party game. Thief Simulator, that's a multi-plat on everything. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, that really could have been on the Wii U. Zelda Breath of the Wild, port. Unravel 2, port. Pocket Mini Golf, multi-plat.
I was saying the future.
Super Mario Party, really? Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, port. Good job, port. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, port. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, port. Revenge of the Bird King.
Oh.
Yeah, what?
Well, I mean, it's successful, so you can't. Look. I'm not talking about the validity of the business strategy, because as you know, I'm someone, I don't get mad at people's business strategy if it makes money. But as a consumer, I did not. No, let me finish with this list. Revenge of the Bird King. Okay, that's a multi-plat on everything. Pokemon Sword. That's an up port of a 3DS game. Diablo 3, The Eternal Collection, port. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, port. Draw Stickman Epic 2. Indie game, but it's a multi-plat. Stardew Valley, port. Luigi's Mansion 3. Okay, that's new. Doom 64, port. And a multi-plat. Cuphead, port and a multi-plat. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, port. Super Mario Odyssey, okay. I think that could have been on the Wii U, but fine then, we'll give it to them. This game was developed for the Switch, ground up for the Switch. Overcooked 2, port. Mortal Kombat 11, port. Like, literally, 75% of the games on this list are fucking ports. I did not buy a new system for ports of shit that I can get on other consoles.
And this is from somebody that's an exclusive Nintendo fan. There's a lot of ports to be looking at that are both either exciting or when you think about it.
All right, so you know what? Yeah, okay, right now Nintendo is not getting the level of, well, I'll give them a pass for this, because look, I'm passed out. I gave them so many passes for the Wii U that I'm passed out. I got no passes left. I'm out. Let me check my box of No, my bag of passes is empty. No passes left. Okay, the passes are done. Okay, so you know. But let me get to my my quick little first impressions / mini review of Final Fantasy 7R. Uh,
Look at- It's time for the roasting.
it's some bullshit. The combat system
So
is trash.
I've been telling people that.
The
I told
combat
people.
the combat system is
Believe me.
trash. You're
The
only
storyline
getting
is
well. You're only like basically okay. Let me put it this way. This game is the equivalent of if you went to a pizza place and ordered a medium pizza, okay? Like a whole medium pizza. But instead of them giving you a medium pizza, which a medium pizza typically, depending on how thick the slices are, yields between 8 and 10 slices. And basically, they gave you, let's say a normal medium pizza at this place was 8 slices. They gave you 2 slices, but charged you for the whole medium pizza. But those 2 slices have a lot of extra toppings on it. So you ordered a pepperoni and sausage pizza. They put mushroom, spinach, prosciutto, extra Parmesan, some Alfredo sauce on it. It's like, wow, that's a lot of extra shit you put on those 2 slices, but this is still just 2 slices of pizza. That's basically what this game is. It's 25% of a full game.
That's what I've been telling
because
Believe me, I even got insulted for it.
it's infuriating that people are supporting this when this is like this is only this is the partial game. Like, how are you guys celebrating?
Yeah,
you guys are only getting part of the game.
It's and well, people are
and
saying
they're charging you $60.
They added all this extra stuff. Well, that's where my analogy is pretty apt, because it's like, okay, they're giving you 25% of a game, but they added a lot of extra toppings to that 25%. Doesn't change the fact you're still only getting 2 slices of pizza, but you're paying for a whole pizza.
Yeah, that's the thing that's bugging me. People are saying that this is a great game, that this is excellent, that this is perfection.
Nah, I think it's
a game.
I think it's mixed.
How did you know?
I think Square Enix knew this game was not going to do well, or not as well as they wanted, which is why they broke it up into 4 pieces. So then they can sit there and sell people. They can sell it in 4 pieces and make more money that way. And they're saying, well, we added all this extra shit. No one, like, I never was playing Final Fantasy VII saying, hey man, I want a lot of extra shit. I never said that, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing that's bugging me the most about it. When I looked at the Final Fantasy gameplay and then the Final Fantasy 7 in the whole, there was so much extra that was just basically fluff.
Now, I will be honest with you, the game is not, you know, I thought it was going to be just kind of like essentially what is essentially a port of, like in terms of combat, just kind of like a derivative version of, a slightly derivative version of Kingdom Hearts combat. It's not.
I was gonna say it's Kingdom Hearts without the Disney milk.
No, it's not. It's the combat isn't like Kingdom Hearts. I'll give it that much. It's not like Kingdom Hearts. It's not Final Fantasy, but it's not Kingdom Hearts either. So I'll give them that much. But aside from that, you know, this game is a hard pass for me. I mean, and to be honest with you, I'm not a Final Fantasy VII fanboy by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, I think it's one of the weaker, quote unquote, modern Final Fantasies. But
and this is and I'm one of the people that actually support Final Fantasy VII. But even this is something that you should skip freaking entirely.
Yeah, for me, it's a hard pass. So,
I mean, gameplay, it just told me that you're going through some stupid hoops and even make them feel like real big characters.
Now, to be fair, I only put about 8-9 hours into the game. My mind was made up about the game after about 3, but I was like, well, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. It doesn't get better. So it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. So yeah, this game is a hard pass for me. And I mean a hard pass. I'm not, you know. I'm letting it go. So with that being said, you guys have any questions about the game before we move on to the final rumor-filled fun topic?
Is there a Japanese voiceover option?
I think so. When I played the game, I didn't check, but I think there is. I'm not entirely sure. I've uninstalled it off my PS4 at this point, so and I'm not installing that shit again to find out. Let me look it up. Japanese VO for Final Fantasy, or Japanese VO for Final Fantasy 7 R. Yeah, there's an option.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you would have used that.
No.
So know how you like Japanese voice acting in your
Dude, you have to remember, in the original game, there wasn't voice acting except in the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like, no one... And here's the thing. I didn't really give a shit about the cutscenes anyway, because I played it on PC, where the cutscenes didn't have sound.
Yeah.
So I didn't even get to enjoy that back in the day.
Oof.
So, I mean, the fact that the first time I played Final Fantasy VII was on PC could have peppered my lack of being impressed by that game. So that could have made me say, I don't get what the deal with the big deal is about this. That maybe not. I don't know.
For somebody like me that actually enjoyed Final Fantasy VII, even I could, when this game was shown to be coming out soon, I had a feeling it was not original, and that was a okay ball at best.
No, I just because the thing is like Final Fantasy VII is so renowned and so beloved by a group of gamers that they should have just left it alone. It's the reason why Nintendo hasn't really remade Super Mario World or Link to the Past. It's like there's some bars you're never going to jump over. Like, I don't think there's ever going to be a Legend of Zelda that's better than Link to the Past.
Yeah.
They're never going to go. They're never going to jump above.
Actually,
It's just not going to happen. All right. There's never going to be a 2D Mario that's better than Super Mario World. It's not happening.
Super Mario World 3.
Not even close. Because Super Mario Brothers 3 is not a bad game, and I would say that had Super Mario World never come out, it would have been the best 2D Mario game. But that game has some flaws. For example, there's too many useless power-ups in that game. For example, the frog suit only useful for one level, but it's in there. Why?
I mean, I see the frog suit for about World 3.
One level in World 3. Not even the whole world, just one level in World 3. And it's the level where you have to be able, where there's these bubbles coming out of this area on the side, where you need the frog suit in order to swim through the updraft in the water in order to get to the secret area. That's it. One fucking level. And yet they have a power-up that's useless for the other 95% of the game. That is bad game design. Okay? So Super Mario Brothers 3 is kind of like not the best designed 2D Mario game. Now, it was the best up to that point, but Super Mario World is better designed. For example, while it doesn't have the huge bevy of power-ups that the third game has, all those power-ups are viable. The fire flower is viable. The pea,
Yeah.
the blimp
The
is
P-wing?
viable. Well, you didn't have the P-wing in Super Mario World. You had the blimp power-up that turned Mario into a fat ass filled with helium. And you know the cape feather is viable. Every single power-up is viable.
That's broken.
No, it's not broken because if you learn how to use that, you can fly indefinitely.
I said it's broken because you could skip most of the levels.
Yeah, but in order for you to basically use it, in order to break a level, you had to basically be very skilled with using it. And which meant you had to be at a certain skill level in order to do that. It wasn't just, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want. Nah. You had to have skill. Alright? So even then, yeah, I broke the game because I'm good enough to break the game. You know, you should be that's congratulations for you being a skilled player. Okay?
Yeah, I could agree with you on that because what you're doing in order to use some of those things.
Like in order for you to get to some of those exits in that game, you had to be good enough in order to get to those exits. It wasn't just cheat. You had to know how to do I had to sacrifice my Yoshi in order to jump under this exit thing. I had to be able to use the parachute bounce in midair past a whole bunch of hazards in a fortress in order to get to the end and get three up moons at the end and get to find a secret boss. I mean, there was a lot of skill involved with that game in order to get everything in that game. That is what a good game, a good 2D platformer is supposed to do. You're supposed to basically the skills that you demonstrate in a 2D platformer or even a 3D platformer that you demonstrate at the end of the game, you should basically have thought you should have never been able to do that at the beginning of the game. That's how your skill level is supposed to be, where basically at the beginning of the game, it's very new, it's very different, you're taking it easy. By the end of the game, you should be doing things like, man, I can't believe I did that. That's how a good that's how a good game should be, especially a platformer. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, like I don't think Nintendo's ever gonna make a 2D platformer better than that. Like I don't think Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze or Donkey Kong Country DK Returns. I don't think either of those games are as good as the originals. I mean, I stand by that. They are not as good as Donkey Kong Country or Donkey Kong Country 2.
But I was going to say that the Donkey Kong, they're good, but they're not the kind of good that would be able to be standing up to other Donkey Kong Country games.
No, the retro games are good, but they aren't rare good. I'm sorry, they aren't.
That's how I was saying. They're good, you know, but they're not the that you put in contrast in similarities with the other.
You know, they don't supersede the original. Now there's some games where they do a remake of a game and the remake is better than the original. Like I would say that Twilight Princess feels like the remake of Ocarina of Time, but Twilight Princess to me is better than Ocarina of Time. I stand by that. Twilight Princess is basically Ocarina of Time 2.0, but done better. For one thing, the dichotomy in Twilight Princess was in Ocarina of Time is Kid Link versus Adult Link. But Adult Link, playing as Kid Link feels like a chore in Ocarina of Time. It's like, oh god, this sucks. You have the shitty Kokiri sword, the shitty Deku shield. You can't use any really powerful weapons except for magic, and even then your magic kind of sucks. It's like, it's not a good game.
I feel like it's a handicap. Like, one part's a handicap to the other.
Kid Link feels like a handicap in Ocarina of Time. It feels like, okay, it's like you're being punished. That's what it feels like. Even everyone's like, man, that the dungeon underneath the well, the prison underneath the well. Oh man, that's so dark. That's so dangerous. The only reason that dungeon is hard is because you're a kid and you have shitty weapons. All right, because you fight one of those dead hands as an adult in the Shadow Temple, and as an adult with the Master Sword or the Bigoron Sword, you fuck that thing up. It's an easy win.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Link had more swords to work with, to at least be compensated for he doesn't have as an adult.
No, it's just the
And
only
there'd be a
sword. The
better-
only sword you can use in that game as a kid is the Kokiri sword, and the Kokiri sword sucks. It's a shitty weapon.
That's how I was saying that if he had a better variety to at least work with.
Yeah, they kind of fixed that in Majora's Mask, where you had 4 swords. You had the Razor Sword, the Gold Sword, and then the Great Fairy Sword. So, you know, those were better items. But, I mean, I'm just saying, like, sometimes you're never going to supersede your best game. Like, for Square Enix, I don't think they've made a Final Fantasy that's better than Final Fantasy VI.
I'll say that for me 6 and 7, but I lean more to 6.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, 7 feels a derivative of 6. So, like, it's basically like a shittier version. It's a lesser version. I would say it's a lesser version. Like what they did in 6, 7 is a copy of that, but done not as well. Like, to me, Sephiroth is not as good a villain as Kefka.
Yeah, I could.
Cloud Strife is
say
not.
that.
Like, Cloud Strife is a male version of Terra, but his story isn't as interesting as Terra's story.
Yeah. The only thing that
Barrett's basically
7
kind of
mostly
like
would be
a.
Yeah.
Barrett's
I would
basically a derivative of I want to say Gao, but he's a shitty version of Gao. No, Kate Sith is more like Gao because he can, or is it Kate Sith? Isn't Kate Sith the character who can mimic in Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, and he has the gambling technique.
So he's like a combination between Gao and Setzer.
Yeah.
But he's not as interesting as Gao or Setzer. Like, basically, Final Fantasy VII's character... Final Fantasy VII's like, oh, it's a less interesting Final Fantasy VI in 3D. That's basically what it is.
The only thing that basically draws me to 7 would be the battle system, and
Even the
and I
battle
know that
system
you-
is a lesser version of what they did in
and
6.
I have a fight with that part.
It's a lesser version of what they did in 6. It's like, okay, we have overdrives. Oh, that's cool. So basically, the special abilities that every character had in Final Fantasy VI, but like instead of it being like each character having their own individual like character-specific special ability that was cool, it's an overdrive, and only one character has a cool overdrive in that game, and that's Cloud. Everyone else's overdrive is just like, eh. So, like I said, Final Fantasy VII is a lesser version. It's a derivative lesser version of Final Fantasy VI. The only caveat is it's in 3D, and Sony put like $250 million just for inflation, $500 million in marketing into it. It's not the best Final Fantasy ever. I mean, if you want to, I would say the best Final Fantasy to me is 6, followed by maybe 10, followed by maybe, no, 6, then 4, then 5, then 10, then 9. Now I put 9 above 10, and then 7, and then after that, that's just, there's nothing else left. It's just shit after that. The modern Final Fantasies are all trash. And I know some people say, what about 12? 12 is not a Final Fantasy game. 12 is a Final Fantasy Tactics game.
That's a tactics.
It's a tactics RPG. It's a tactics spinoff. So, anything you guys want to pimp out before you wrap things up?
But
Anything? Nothing?
as I said, I think I'm all right.
All right.
So, do you have anything up?
Okay, so basically, I will be doing. I've been capturing footage for my multi-part series, my Ultimate Fallout game. Basically, I would have uploaded it yesterday, but my footage was corrupted. So
Ooh, you're gonna have to start nearly at square one of it. Getting that
yeah.
bad.
So I basically what I did was I reinstalled Fallout New Vegas because I mean basically every once in a while I'll go install it, play through it, beat it, and then uninstall it and go do something else. But you know I got to capture footage, so you know that's it. So that's all I had to say. Thank you for joining me for this podcast. Stay tuned. Our next podcast will be this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't know what the topic's
AKA
going
our
to be.
normal hours.
It will be a fun cast where we will talk about fun topics, nothing but fun topics.
Hopefully.
Well, typically speaking, unless something major happens, but you know, news has been stagnant. We aren't having an E3 this year, so we just got to take what we can get. So I'll probably come up with some new stuff, some you know off the wall topics.
Some off. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the end of this video, this podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. You can reach me.
And don't forget to
I
reach
got-
him at his Gmail, his
The Gmail
Twitter.
is all lowercase, Mr. Red Fox BSbuster at gmail.com, or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at Mr. Red Fox 91. So you can send me a message and I'll be there. Like chairman of the board, I'll be there. Or no, that's the Spinners. I'll be there. I'll be around.
Oh yeah.
And I'll try to comment. If you would like to be on the podcast, we had someone who's a frequent watcher of our videos, Trusk, aka Mario Poke Nerd, and he came on the podcast. So if you would like to be on the podcast, let me know. We'll get in touch.
So if anything, keep in touch and for heaven's sake, wash your peeping hands.
Yeah, please wash your hands. All right. And, you know, if you have a small child or elderly, don't take them out amongst people. Practice social distancing. That's it. Peace. Good night.
Laters.